Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. It's Lloyd Skinner once again from Greyfly.ai to talk about all things AI in project management with global project management experts. I'm really happy today to speak to a good friend of mine, Frank, coming in from New York. Frank, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, yeah, I'm Frank Saladis. I do live in New York City. Um, I have quite a bit of a background in project management. I worked at AT&T as a project manager and also at Cisco Systems as a project manager, and I did an awful lot of training over the past many years. I have written a few books on project management. I've also published about 200 articles on leadership in project management. And I guess one of the major things that people should know is that I created International Project Management Day, which happens to be the first Thursday of November every year. And International Project Management Day is a day of recognition and acknowledgement of project managers. And the reason for that day is that even today, most people don't really understand what project managers do. And they take a lot of things for granted that project managers do. But if you really think about it, just about everything that anybody uses every day, from their smartphones, their laptops, cars, buses, planes, trains, highways, you name it, high-rise buildings, all of those are the result of projects. And people never really think about, wow, who actually was involved in making this happen? So that's the reason for International Project Management Day. And I've traveled quite a bit around the world to various organizations. And I've been a PMI member, Project Management Institute member, for 35 years.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for that intro, Frank, and thanks for letting others know about, the International Project Management Day if you're not already aware. And of course, in this world of AI, I can imagine it's going to become even more important, the recognition of what we as a profession do. So obviously you've got vast experience there, and we're entering or have entered this world of AI in project management. What's your thoughts about AI in project management and the potential, as it were?
Well, I when AI was first introduced, I have to say, I mean, AI has been around for a while, but in the last year, basically, I think it's really taken off in terms of interest in the project management community. And I was a little bit concerned because a project manager is put in a leadership position, has to work with people, has to make important decisions, has I first saw how it was being used, I was kind of concerned that it was taking away from what I would call the personal side of being a project manager. But more recently, having experienced some of AI, something even more recently in terms of developing a training program, I see that what AI does is it enhances your opportunity to be creative by providing you with summarized information that you can then analyze and determine what information is most important for you to follow on. So, that's a great aspect of AI. And the other fact is that it does actually help you condense a lot of information very quickly so that you can make decisions that are important in project management. So I'm actually seeing some real benefits out of it. And one thing that I just wanted to point out, I read about how AI was being used in an article in Harvard Business Review. And that article really convinced me that if you use AI correctly, you will be able to develop amazing things because it simply enhances your creativity about how to approach various problems. So I see some real benefits in it overall.
It's really interesting that you jump to that, enhances the opportunity to be creative, because there's been a bit of a pushback there in terms of, you know, AI can never be creative. It can never help us on this journey. So it's interesting that's the first thing that you pull out, as it were.
Well, it is. You know, I was working with a colleague on a new program, and we decided to use AI to help us kind of formulate things. And I was really amazed at all the things that it provided, which allowed us to dig deeper and to uh, choose the direction and then dig even deeper to get at the information that we needed. So I have to say that if you use it correctly, if you use it like it is a tool, but it's a resource. And if you ask the right questions in the right way, the responses are just plain amazing. I think that what people need to do is they need to practice how they're going to prompt AI to help you. And the better you are at having, it's more of a conversation with your AI tool, the more useful and impressive the information will be.
Yeah, I think your point about used correctly, and you know, no doubt with some slight skepticism, is the response the, you know, the 100% truth. Although I'm sure we could get into a philosophical debate about, you know, truth, as it were. We're kind of lucky that PMI are really pushing as to how to prompt us correctly. But in your example there, you know, it's great to hear the amount of time you probably saved to get to that first course, as it were, and almost push your bounds of creativity, as it were.
Well, yeah, it did. What I have to say is that, you know, we asked very, very specific questions. My colleague said you need to talk to it as if you were talking to another person, and you know, that's kind of an interesting thing because you want to get that kind of response back. And then when we did get the initial responses, we were okay. Wow, didn't even think of that. Let's expand on that. Ask about this. And it went into a little bit more detail, and we came up with some amazing information. So I think that what happens is, like, again, if you're using it properly, if you're asking the right questions, it will allow you to set the direction that you want to go in and then dig deeper into that particular area and then ask those questions for that area and you get these responses and it helps you to build how you're going to approach. Now, it doesn't give you the answers. It just says, here's information that you can use. It is up to you to take that information and definitely will stimulate your creativity to go further. It really does. I was pretty amazed at that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And the other point you mentioned there was about summation and condensing data as well, which I think you sort of touched on a couple of times there, because, you know, if you want to go deeper on a particular point, you can go deeper again and use it that way. And as we know, we're not shy of documentation in our world. And if you're lucky, they're editable. But obviously, these products can read PDFs and all of this sort of stuff. So bringing all of this documentation together, and you know, I was in a conversation the other day on a couple of things. What one, to proactively spot contradictions in design documentation, you know, which, depending on what project you're talking about, is extremely large. But the other one, which I found really interesting, was to do with litigation and summarizing litigation, you know, and the hundreds of thousands of pages and documents that go into litigation. I thought, wow, what a great use to fast track getting to the argument, as it were.
Exactly. I just think that it does allow you to see things that you would have taken, you know, you personally would have taken enormous amounts of time to get this information, and then it's presented for you and often with links where you can go to get more and more information if you want. So it does save enormous amounts of time in terms of what I'll call legwork. What you want to do though is, you want to make sure that you understand the subject. You need to make sure that you are reading about it, that you're internalizing it, that you're being able to articulate the information that's being provided. The concern that I've had with AI is that there are people that use AI as a substitute for actually doing research. And, and when you do that, you personally are not learning anything. What you're doing is you're allowing the machine to do the work for you, and then you're submitting the information. But if someone would ask you a question about the content, you're going to be at a loss. So make sure you are learning and understanding the information that's being provided. Don't rely on it as, well, okay, so this is what it will do. Make sure that you understand that material. So it's not a substitute for research, it's an enhancement for research.
I think it's a really interesting point, and please don't shoot me down in flames when I'm about to say what I'm about to say, but humans generally are lazy or looking for shortcuts. So I definitely concur that in terms of use it for research. My concern would be that you're in this cut and paste world where people just tick onto the next thing. Do you think that's being fair, or am I being awful to people?
Well, I think that that's a human trait. Let's find the easiest way to do something. I think those people who are truly interested in their personal professional development and education will take the extra steps and learn about it. There will be people out there, no doubt, that are going to be, let's find the quick way through. I don't really feel like doing it. Let me use AI so I can be lazy. I think that that's a fact. I think that we're going to continuously deal with that. And unfortunately for those people, that will probably hinder their path to success. So my advice would be use AI as a tool. Um, you can use it to open up your mind for a tremendous amount of creativity and innovative thinking. It'll allow you to be much more of a critical thinker. And if you're interested in doing that, then I can see that you're going to be very successful. And if you're going to be lazy, well, then, you get what you pay for, kind of a thing, right?
Um, I'm just going to ask about the role of the project manager and how the role of the project manager is evolving, as it were. Um, the examples you gave, I can imagine are really apt for, whether that's from working out a first pass project chart or a first pass risk log or understanding requirements or anything. I get that. One of the concerns that I have at the moment is that we're trying to make project managers technical developers and analysts. So, pick this particular AI related software, work out how to configure it, and almost create the workflow. Now, typically, I don't necessarily think that the project manager should be doing that type of stuff, so yeah, create a risk log, might be use a template, but actually programming tools and working out the workflows to be able to really empower the use of AI. What's your view of that, as it were? What is the role of a project manager in this new world?
Well, I have to go back a couple of years. I was teaching a project management fundamentals class, and I asked the question, what is the role of the project manager? And I got an immediate response from a gentleman that was in the class, and he said, the role of the project manager is to control the team. Okay, and of course, the rest of the class kind of, made different expressions, like, whoa, like, what is that? And we had a little discussion about the role, and my response to that was, if you really think about it, the role of the project manager is not to control anybody. The role of the project manager is to ensure that the team members are in control of their jobs, okay? Which means that you're the leader, you're the supervisor, you're the coach, and you're not the technical expert. Now, we have what are called hybrid project managers, and the reason that we have them is that they do possess certain technical skills. So they've been given the assignment is to lead a project, but they also have to do technical work. The problem with that is that the technical work will draw them away from their leadership roles, and they get immersed into the minutia, the weeds and stuff, and they're not really looking around to see what else is going on. Okay, so to me, it's not a good idea to have hybrid roles of project managers, although I think that that's going to continue on for some time. If we look at today's role as a project manager, we need data, we need to make decisions, we need to get information from people, we need to manage our stakeholders. And how are we going to do that? Well, we do that through the team. And how does the team do that? By providing the project manager with useful information, okay? Data. And from that data, they should provide what we'll call insights to help the project manager make a decision. So where do you get the data from? Well, each team member should be using AI as part of their tool process to do things like analyzing risk, taking a look at quality trends, looking at potential possible changes to the schedule, how a change in here might impact changes down the road. Those are the things that the team should be doing to tell the project manager and say, here's where we're at. Here's my recommendation. And the project manager says, okay, thanks for this information. I think the best approach would be to go this way, and then give out the orders and delegate. So I really think that we need to kind of maybe rethink or reposition or get people to really understand that a project manager is a coordinator, a problem solver, a leader, an organizer, a collaborator, and work with the team to get things done. They don't necessarily have to be in there building things. I think that that's the way we should be going.
I totally concur with that, and your example of the hybrid project manager, I get it, and I understand why, in a world where we're constantly being pushed to do more for the same or more for the less, why people get dragged into that. But I definitely concur. There's a risk there in terms of your project in its own right. I think the other thing I would probably do at this juncture is sort of push the boundaries a little bit further. And of course, at the moment, we've been hearing all about these AI agents where, for want of a better term, the little sniffing tool is going to be able to interpret all of that data, collate it together and present it back to the project manager. And for me, when that can actually happen, that does mean that you're not in this interim state where the project manager has to be the hybrid project manager. The next step on for that is, well, what does that mean as a project manager per se? And obviously I don't want to scare anybody here, but there seems to be a groundswell, certainly by the bigger tech companies, that AI agents can do a lot of this coordination and facilitation for us. What's your view on that, Frank?
Well, I guess that a lot of people are going to have different opinions on that. I think that the project manager needs to provide not only the managerial approach by listening to the team and understanding the data to make the appropriate decisions, but there's still also that human connection, that human element there, okay? So when you have a project manager working with the team and also work with stakeholders and working with the customer, now you have a special type of connection there that I don't think these agents can actually duplicate, okay? So can the agents provide data? Sure they can. But, just providing data and giving you some things to think about, that's not project management. It's making sure that we're making the right decisions. So I think we need to have that project manager in there, providing that human element. Some people will call that emotional intelligence, but we need to have that part of project management that is people oriented, and it's not simply data driven. It can't be. Okay, we need to have an understanding that, what, the data says do this, but I think that's going to create a real problem with my relationship with this organization. So I need to make a different decision. And machines are not going to do that. I don't think so. Maybe down the road a piece, but right now we need to have the human element to understand that sometimes you are going to go against the data because you think this is the right thing to do. If you
Yeah,
get what I'm saying, okay? I mean,
yeah,
we have to have that human element in there, that if I make this decision based on what they just told me, this relationship is going to collapse. Maybe there's another way, or something like
yeah,
that. So I
yeah,
think we
yeah,
got to have
yeah.
a human element.
I hear you. Emotional intelligence is almost the next frontier, as it were. Um, I personally think it's where that line of emotional intelligence lays, I think, is where it will get a bit blurred. So for example, if I look at parallels, we're already in a world where we could be speaking to an AI agent that you don't even realize is an AI agent on a contact center. So the confusion between who you're speaking to, I think, is starting to get blurred. Again, I think I think you used the term down the road, and who knows how long that road is. But I do think there's a natural push from technology companies as to where that line can stop and start. And again, I definitely don't think we're not going anywhere in the short term. But that line of creativity that we referred to earlier, that line of emotional intelligence, I think will get blurred over the next few years.
Yeah, I see that. As AI continues to develop, whatever tool you happen to be using is eventually going to develop a personality, I think, and it's almost scary that some of these machines will develop their own, persona,
Yeah,
and you'll be talking to them, like you're talking to another person. So there will be some blurring there. That would be of a concern to me, that I don't know that if I'm speaking to a machine or to a human. I think that there's
yeah,
real
exactly.
real challenges with that. But if we use it properly, and I understand tech companies, they want to advance. I mean, technology is advancing so fast that
Yeah,
every time you turn around, something new has been added, and everybody wants it. Look at this new technology. I got to use it right away. But there is a point where that line gets blurred. Okay, what is really good for people, and what has gone beyond what's good. Um, I don't know that we've reached that yet, but I did a presentation on what project managers need to know about AI, about 6 months ago, and my third slide, I think I might have shown it to you, was
yeah,
a picture of the cyber organisms that were created in the Terminator,
yeah,
and where the machines decided, we don't need humans anymore, and kind of systematically try to get rid of them. I hope we don't ever get there, but that is a concern of a lot of people. Just how far it can go. The more AI advances, the less the human brain needs to actually function. We're talking about implants into the human brain to access data more quickly. Let's try to maintain a connection between humans and the machine. That there's personality, there's human feelings, there's emotion, and then there's the data that we need in order to function. And we got to find the right mix so that we don't lose our essence, our persona,
yeah.
ourself, and we kind of give it up to the machines. I think we have to find balance there.
Yeah, I totally concur. I totally concur, Frank. I think it almost comes down to how optimistic you are about the future of mankind. While we're in a world that's being driven by billions of dollars, to make machines smarter. It's not going to slow down. So I hope that good is greater than evil. And obviously I don't want to go off into some dark hole on that subject. Bringing that back to projects, though, in terms of, you touched on great efficiency benefits. I'm always talking about effectiveness benefits as well, which projects to undertake in the first place, as an example. Do you have a view of whether it can be used not just on the efficiency side, but also on the effectiveness side?
Well, I think that projects, and this is just something that I've been teaching for a while. Every project is a financial investment. Okay, it doesn't really matter how large or small it is. So the question then becomes are we working on the right projects? Okay, are these the ones that are going to be the most beneficial to the organization? And I think that where AI can come in, especially in the areas of, say, project selection, portfolio management, and things like that, would be a good way to gather a bunch of information about potential projects in terms of their long-term benefits, the risks associated with it. I think that humans cannot process that much data, to make really the best decisions. But if you have a machine that can say, okay, here's the 10 projects that you were thinking about, and here's the probability of success based on benefit realization, profitability, risk analysis, add-on business, whatever you want to think, that will allow you to make the most efficient decisions, or the best decisions for the return on the investment, benefits realization, profit, whatever it is that your organization is looking for. So I think from an efficiency perspective and a benefit perspective, AI can offer a lot of different things. It will allow us to take a look at data that we really didn't think we had, or what we're not able to collect because of timeframes and things like that. It gives you a lot of information to work from, so that of the 10 projects, we have this much money to spend and we can only do 5. According to the data that we have just gathered, the best 5 projects would be these, and this is where we're going to invest our money in. So I think that it's a combination of efficiency and effectiveness, both when it comes to use of that tool.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, and I again totally concur, Frank. We've been chatting for some time, and I must start wrapping the conversation up. If there was sort of one, takeaway that you wanted to provide to listeners of this recording, what would it be?
Well, there's a lot of things that I could think of. I think that from a project manager perspective, continue to develop and upskill your leadership capability. Look at the tools that are out there and focus on the ones that are going to be most beneficial to you, your team, your organization, and your customers and your stakeholders. Don't forget the human side of project management. You're dealing with people. People have feelings. Okay, that doesn't mean that you can't make hard decisions. You're going to have to make hard decisions, but use diplomacy whenever possible. Use the tools that you need to enhance your thinking instead of replacing your thinking. That would be my thoughts.
Fantastic. Enhance your thinking rather than replace it. What a great way to finish. Thanks so much for your time today, and I look forward to keeping in touch.
Okay, well, thank you for the opportunity. It was great to have a discussion with you.